The technique of using a cylindrical environment map isn't going to work for all kinds of animations. It doesn't work if you do a flyover or an interactive world such as a VRML model. In these situations, you'll need to explicitly model the environment as geometry. To appreciate why this is so, switch into perspective and do a rendering of the building from outside. Here you'll see that the environment is attached to the virtual cylinder surrounding the model, but it's not believable here. We don't see a ground plane, and it becomes evident that this is some kind of illusion. In a situation like this, where you're viewing the building from above, or when you're moving around freely, as in the case of a Web 3D model or VRML model, you'll have to model the environment explicitly. To do that, go into the top viewport and zoom out a long way and create a sphere. This will be like a little universe that your model will live inside of. Go into perspective and zoom out. Create a material for the sphere. Notice that you cannot assign the bitmap that we used previously to the sphere. This is because it's not part of a material. It's merely a map. Let's say that we want to use this, however. We'll have to change the mapping type to texture, and we'll use an explicit map channel. That's fine. But I still can't use it until it's part of a material. So I'll go over here to this standard material and assign it to the sphere. Then drag the bitmap into the diffuse color component and instance it there. Show the map in the viewport, and you'll also have to uncheck real world map size on the sphere. We're seeing a hole open up in the top of the universe because of the V offset that was used earlier. I'll set that back to 0, and it looks better. Now, it looks fine from the outside, but what we really need is to flip all of the surfaces around so that this looks like the inside of a sphere. You can do that with the normal modifier. It will flip the normals, and we can't see that here yet because we need to also set backface cull on the display tab. And thinking more about it, let's get rid of the bottom of the sphere. We're not going to need that. I'll set the hemisphere parameter to 0.5 so that we create a sky dome. And I often pull the sky dome down a bit by non-uniformly scaling it, like that. Now let's look through the camera, and you can see the sky dome out there. I'll move it down in the Z direction by dragging down the spinner here, and that will set the horizon level. You can also rotate the sky dome or animate its rotation to simulate wind that's blowing the clouds. I'll go back into perspective. Now we need a ground plane, and I'll just create that out here. Note that it doesn't necessarily have to be bigger than the sky dome. You can make the plane smaller, say 100 feet by 100 feet, and then increase the render multiplier. I'll make this, say, 5, and that will scale it up by a factor of 5 in the rendering. We can assign a material to the plane to represent the ground. and I'll just do that with a bitmap. The problem with using a bitmap here is that it's such a large scale object that the bitmap ideally would have a very high resolution. I'll use the grass image. And let's just see how that looks through the camera. Make a rendering.